Some vegetables are gorgeous. Think about a vibrant red tomato, or a freshly picked bunch of carrots, or a homegrown pepper. This just looks kind of weird, like maybe it should have arrived here on a flying saucer. But in reality, of course, this is a kohlrabi. It's a cool season veggie that has been growing in popularity in recent years. Kohl comes from the German word for cabbage. Rabi means turnip. Kohlrabi, a distinctive name for a memorable vegetable. I'm Charity Nebbe. On this episode of Iowa Ingredient, we'll meet a young couple putting good food first, including kohlrabi, when we visit Garden Oasis Farm in northeast Iowa. Then one of our favorite chefs, Katie Porter from the Wallace Centers of Iowa, shows us the versatility of kohlrabi when she cooks with us in our studio kitchen. So you're gonna stuff kohlrabi with kohlrabi?
Yes, we are.
All right. All that and more coming up next on Iowa Ingredient.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And the Friends of Iowa Public Television Foundation.
So we're gonna go put these in the oven at 350 degrees. Perfect dish. I'm gonna get some of those beans with my sweet potato.
Bit of salt. Wow.
In the garden, kohlrabi looks like it's floating just above the ground. And experts say that you should pick it when it's no bigger than a baseball. Any bigger and it starts to taste kind of woody. You can eat the whole thing, leaves and bulb, and it comes in purple and green. The flavor is similar to that of a broccoli stem. And as a bonus, it is packed with nutrients. Kohlrabi may be a relative newcomer on the vegetable stage. We've only been growing it for about 500 years. But this vegetable is definitely, as strange as it looks, a garden rock star. T.D. Holub and his wife Sarah operate Garden Oasis Farm in eastern Iowa. It's a 7-acre diversified vegetable farm where they raise chickens and grow 35 different types of vegetables, including kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi is actually I think I'd have to say that's my grandpa's favorite vegetable. Growing up, I remember eating it all the time. And a lot of the people around here, same thing, have just always eaten it while they've grown up. So we wanted to make sure we had something that our customers in this area really enjoyed.
Kohlrabi is popular in Germany as well as states with a large German ancestral population. Known as cabbage's crazy cousin, it's a cruciferous vegetable related to broccoli and cauliflower. Many kohlrabi enthusiasts like to eat it sliced with just a dash of salt. They describe it as crisp, juicy, and a little bit sweet.
I actually describe kohlrabi to a lot of my customers as like a cross between like a cabbage flavor and like the crunch of a carrot, even though it's not really in the carrot family. But you know, the cabbage, they all kind of have a very similar flavor too.
Kohlrabi is a cool season crop, and it grows fast, so you can get 2 harvests per year if you plan things right. As it grows, a portion of the stem swells up into a round, turnip-shaped vegetable. The leaves are also edible, but most kohlrabi is sold with just a few leaves on top.
Like to compost all these leaves, or we feed them to our chickens or goats, whoever gets to them first. But we actually like to pull these out of the field because it keeps our crops a little healthier, keeps the ground healthy as well, so that we're not seeing disease problems year after year when you pull all of that dead stuff out of the field. We grow 3 different varieties mainly. We grow a purple variety called Kohlrabi. We like that one. The skin is purple, but the inside is still white. We also grow a variety called Winter, which we like just because it's a nice uniform size. They can get a little bit bigger and they don't get tough like some of the other varieties. And the final one we grow is called Cossack, and that can get about 8 inches in diameter. They are huge Kohlrabi. They'll weigh, they can weigh up to 6 or 7 pounds. Just looking for ones that, look the nicest. We don't want to get any that have, too many scabs on them, or, sometimes they'll split. So we just want to make sure that we're getting a nice, solid, uniform vegetable. So we like to cut them right at the ground level. Sometimes we do rip them out of the ground completely, but we just like to cut on the very base of the plant. It's actually, if you were to peel the skin off and try and eat that, it's actually very tough. So we just like to cut it right there, and then when you actually go to eat the kohlrabi, you're actually just gonna make a cut up here, kind of cut that bottom off and discard it.
Kohlrabi is simple to prepare and it keeps for a long time. So next time you see it at the farmer's market, don't let this funny-looking favorite intimidate you. Our website can be a good resource if you're hungry and you want to see where our Iowa ingredient chefs are cooking right now. Let's get to know a little bit more about one of those chefs, a native Iowan who has inspired us for several years here in the studio kitchen.
You got everything.
All right.
Katie, you're excellent. Good job.
My name is Katie Porter, and I became a chef just for the love of food, I think. Growing up, family get-togethers, and everybody was centered around food and in the kitchen and helping out. And then I actually was going to school for dietetics, and I took a food prep class and a chemistry class, and I thought, I am going to be a chef. I'm going to go to culinary school. I loved the food prep class, and so that was kind of the start of my journey. So I grew up in Mount Ayr, Iowa, in southwest Iowa, in a small town. And the thing that I remember, about growing up is all family events were all gathered around food and all of us eating together. So in the kitchen, and my grandma cooking, she had a garden, and so just getting stuff out of the garden. And Mount Ayr is a Scottish town, and we used to have this weekend called Ayr Days, and they had a Scottish tea, and my mom was in charge of that for a few years. And so we would, making stuff for the tea at home and rolling these grapes and Roquefort cheese and walnuts. And I just remember that so distinctly, just rolling. And then we re-rolled hundreds of grapes for the tea. But so just, growing up and always being around food, and it just got me, really interested. When I'm cooking for people, it's really exciting. I don't know, I love the idea of cooking good food for people that really enjoy it and get excited about it. When new vegetables come into the kitchen, or we're out the farm and we see, like the kohlrabi is just about ready to be harvested, we do a little happy dance, and it's just, who knew that, vegetables and cooking is so exciting, and it's just, everybody loves to eat, and I love to be able to present people with some really good food and just honor the people that raise the meats and raise the vegetables and the dairy, and it's just, I don't know, it just means a lot. It's just great. It's a good feeling.
And now we are in the kitchen with Chef Katie. We're going to do some cooking with kohlrabi.
We are.
What are we going to make?
We're going to make stuffed kohlrabi. Kohlrabi's a great vessel for stuffing really anything into it. Okay. The bulb cooks up really great, still has some good texture to it.
All right, and the entire kohlrabi is edible, and you're going to make use of that, right?
Yep, yeah. A lot of people just discard the stems and the leaves, but the leaves are really great for you, and the stem gives a good texture to it.
All right.
first thing we're going to do is just take off the stems and the leaves. And then we're going to cut them in about 1-inch pieces. And then when you get down to the stem, you're going to start cutting a little bit smaller.
All right.
And you discard the bottom where they met the bulb. Throw that in there. And then you take the bulb itself and cut about 1/4 inch off the bottom. And I like to trim just a little off the top too.
All right.
And then you peel it.
Okay.
Sometimes where the bulb meets the stem, it gets a little tough. So we're gonna just peel all that outer layer off. And then we're gonna scoop out the inside. So I like to use a melon baller to scoop it out. If you don't have a melon baller, you can take a paring knife and just score a circle in the top and then just take a teaspoon or something and scoop it out that way.
But this seems like a simpler
It is, yeah. It's a lot faster. And I leave about 1/4 inch shell. And then we're gonna take the stuffing, or the inside of the kohlrabi, and just dice it about a small dice.
All right, so you're gonna stuff kohlrabi with kohlrabi.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Why not use the whole plant?
Great.
If you're doing a lot of these, if you're doubling or tripling the recipe, I find it's a lot faster and easier to put it in the food processor too. I've already cleaned out 5 more of them. And then to that filling, I'm gonna add some carrots
All right.
that have been chopped. And some small dice of radishes. We have some pink and some purple radishes in here. And then some green onions.
It's awfully colorful.
I
It's
know,
beautiful.
it's so pretty. And all these things, you know, kohlrabi grows great in the spring and the fall. And so you can have, you know,
Other
any
spring
vegetables
right,
that you
yeah.
want to. And then I have some garlic scapes. We're just gonna cut it in half and then just do little dice. If you don't have garlic scapes, you can use garlic cloves.
Nice.
We're gonna put those into the bowl. And then I have some oregano. So we'll just chop a few little leaves of oregano. I love using fresh herbs. It really does just brighten things up and gets the smells going in the kitchen. And then I have some Milton Creamery quark cheese. It's a fresh style of cheese from Milton Creamery. It's got a nice little bit of tang to it.
All right, so you could use any soft cheese in this
You
way?
can, yep. Goat cheese, blue cheese would be nice too. So I will have you mix that around. So then the leaves, you want to take the kohlrabi leaves and saute them, just wilt them down a little bit. I'm going to sprinkle a little salt and pepper onto the kohlrabi leaves. So just about 30 seconds. Like I said, you just kind of want to wilt them down a little bit, cook them, and they really turn like a bright, vibrant green too.
And it's amazing how much you had and then how
And
quickly, they wilt down.
All right, so we'll add that to the mixture. Then you add a little bit of salt and pepper. Get it nice and seasoned. And then we can start stuffing. So you just take the kohlrabi and just put a little in the bottom and just kind of fill it and pack it in there.
All right. I think I can do that.
You can even add meat if you want to these kohlrabi. Sausage would be a nice addition, or if you have some chicken would be good too. So I would go ahead and cook the meat first before you stuff it in here, just to make sure it's cooked all the way through.
So really anything that you would stuff in a stuffed pepper, you
Yes,
could stuff,
in a kohlrabi. Yep.
All right, we've got the
Okay.
pan ready to go.
So then you just put all the filling that's extra in the bottom of the pan. You just kind of want to stuff your kohlrabi down into the pan. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of water, and this will help prevent this extra stuffing from sticking to the bottom of the pan.
Well, and there's so many raw vegetables in there. I mean,
Right.
you need the moisture to kind of bring it together,
Yeah,
right?
that is true.
Okay.
And then we'll cover it in with some foil.
All right. And then how long do you put it in the oven for?
It goes in a 350-degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes.
All right.
So I would check it if you're using small kohlrabi. You want to check it about after 25 just to make sure that they're not overcooking.
All right,
So
and you just stick a fork
you
in
stick
there.
a fork in there and
Perfect.
see if they're done. So we'll put it in the oven and let it bake.
All right, and it's ready.
It is. So we'll just take a peek here.
Looks great. It smells amazing.
It does smell. You can see the steam coming off. I like to just put a little paring knife in there and just see if it goes in easy.
Okay,
and that
nice and soft.
fork tender, I like to have it. So we'll take the kohlrabi and then garnish the plate with a little bit extra of the stuffing too.
Nice. All right, let me get some forks.
Okay.
And you want to slice it down the
Just
middle?
Slice it in the middle and
Nice.
so that good stuffing in there.
Terrific. Let me try.
Smell
Plenty
that
of
garlic.
stuffing in there. Oh yeah, it smells fantastic. And it's delicious and so fresh.
The cheese adds a nice little tang to
Yeah.
it too.
Chef Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we've had our stuffed kohlrabi. What are we going to make next?
We're gonna make a kohlrabi slaw with a coconut dressing.
Ooh,
so
sounds
I
good.
love this one because the kohlrabi has a great mellow, juicy flavor to it. So it's got crisp like an apple and has a broccoli stem flavor. So it makes a great addition in a slaw.
Yeah.
First, we're gonna make the vinaigrette, and I like to take just a wet towel and kind of make a little nest for your bowl, so you're not chasing the bowl all on the counter. We're gonna put our vinegar in first. We have rice wine vinegar, a little bit of soy sauce or tamari, and then I have some sesame oil. And then I've got some fresh ginger. And then we have a little bit of avocado oil. You can use sunflower oil if you want to. And then we're gonna whisk in our coconut oil. So coconut oil at room temperature can be solid, so you just wanna heat it up a little bit.
And why do you like to use coconut oil?
I love the smell of it and the taste of it. It makes a really great, kind of fun, flavorful when you're adding the sesame oil and the soy sauce and stuff. So it just makes a great little vinaigrette. So. And then for the slaw itself, I have the kohlrabi, and so we've already peeled it and taken the stems off and the leaves. And you can save the stems and the leaves for another purpose if you want to saute them or add them with your eggs. We're just going to cut it in half and then do little strips of it. And then we're going to do a julienne cut, which is kind of like a matchstick. And then we have some yellow beets that we're going to put in there.
Nice.
I love using yellow beets raw. You know, you can use red beets, but it'll color the salad a little
so
bit.
Pretty.
Yeah.
It's sunny.
And then some radishes. So then again, this is really a fun, colorful, and flavorful, and nice little raw vegetables. We're gonna put a little pinch of pepper and a pinch of salt in it as well. And then I have some mint leaves. And then cilantro, when you get it in the store, or if you get it from your CSA, it usually comes in a bunch. And instead of spending time picking all the leaves off and stuff, I like to just put it in a bunch like this, kind of tuck the top leaves over and roll it.
Oh, okay.
The stems that are closest to the leaves are tender enough that if you cut them fine, you won't even know that there's stems in there. So it saves you a lot of time in the kitchen too. And then I have some green onions, well, purple onions, but they're a fresh green onion, and we'll just slice some of those. And we'll ready to mix it.
All right. And is this something that once you mix, you want to let it sit and really soak up those flavors?
You do. You want to let it sit for at least 30 minutes outside of room temperature before you serve it. It really gets the flavors marinated. And then sometimes too, if the vegetables are super cold, it'll kind of congeal the coconut oil. So you want to let it sit at room temperature to really get the coconut oil melted in there. And
Right. So if you refrigerate it, you might want to bring it up to room temperature before you serve.
Yep.
Okay.
And it'll keep in your fridge for a couple days, which is nice. So you can do it ahead of time.
Gets to taste even better with every day, right? Well, that is just beautiful, isn't it?
And it's great, you know, on its own, or you can put it on a sandwich. It's great with a grilled salmon or a grilled pork chop. So.
All right. And we're not going to let it sit. We're just going to try it.
Yes, we are. I love just those yellow beets in there too. And beets raw have a really nice flavor to it, so matches well with the kohlrabi.
All right, let's give this a try. Oh, that is delicious. And the mint really stands out. It's such an unusual blend of flavors.
Just really crisp and clean.
Yeah, and bright.
Bright, flavorful. Yeah.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Thank you so
Chef
much.
Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Vertical gardening is just what it sounds like, growing plants up and down in a vertical plane instead of horizontally on the ground.
I'm just going to change those out.
Cindy Haynes, a horticulture specialist at Iowa State University Extension, is at Ryman Gardens in Ames to show us some creative examples.
Vertical gardening is great because it's a really efficient use of space. So even those who have really small gardens can grow things and grow them well with just a limited footprint. And in the home production garden, we have several great examples of vertical gardening. Behind me is the apple arbor, where we're actually growing full-size apple trees along an arbor and kind of training them to kind of create this archway. They're still producing apples, and it doesn't take up a lot of space and makes a unique feature here at the home production garden. We also have espalier as another example of vertical gardening. An espalier is a pruning technique where we're using pears or other fruit trees to kind of train them into a two-dimensional kind of footprint. And then finally, at the end of the arbor, we have the example of grapes. Grapes growing in a vine and training them on trellises as well. So everyone's seen a grapevine growing, and another good example of vertical gardening. There are several different vertical gardening ideas that you can do on a smaller scale. You can create a wreath or a picture frame where you're packing in different types of succulents. Or you can purchase window boxes that you can actually mount to the wall as well. Just fill these containers with some potting mix and start some seeds of beets or Swiss chard or lettuce, and then let it all kind of grow that way. There's some great ways to upcycle, to use some things around the house in vertical gardening as well. One of the popular aspects of vertical gardening is something called woolly pockets. So these kind of fabric pouches that you plant in that are affixed to a wall. And this is a shoe organizer that would work really well as a pouch kind of garden. Just each of these little containers where you would put a shoe, just put some soil and maybe a lettuce transplant or a parsley transplant, and then you can affix this to a wall as well. You can also take a 2-liter pop bottle and just cut out a square or rectangular piece, fill this up with soil, make a couple of drain holes, and then with some twine, attach this to a fence or a wall. So your container doesn't have to be expensive. And then finally, one of the best ways to upcycle is to use an old leaky gutter. Cap the ends of a gutter, cut it to the size of your deck or a railing, affix it to the railing, and then fill it up with soil and plant lettuce seeds or tiny kind of patio tomato transplants in them so that you can eat tomatoes and lettuce right at your patio or your deck. And then another idea that I've seen is actually using culverts, all those big tall metal culverts, and planting a container on the top of it and actually having things grow down. Just look around, you'll find something that you can upcycle to use in a vertical garden or a space on your patio or deck.
Whether you're working with a little bit of space or a lot, growing plants for food or for beauty, vertical gardening is a great way to add another dimension to your garden.
That's it for this week's show. It's always fun to grow our food knowledge together. I'm Charity Nebbe. See you next time for more Food for Thought on Iowa Ingredient.
Keep in mind that circumstances are always changing, so please take a moment to check ahead if you're planning to visit a restaurant, farm, or event featured on the show.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And the Friends of Iowa Public Television Foundation.